So good afternoon, participants. I welcome you all in this afternoon session of this short-term course on data analytics and predictive technology, driven IoT-based smart grid infrastructure. In this session, we are going to have hands-on training, and I am pleased to introduce the research team of Power Electronics Research Group here at IIT BHU. So in this session, two of my research scholars, Mr. Pawan Kumar and Mr. Simanta Samal, they will be conducting this session on the hands-on training, and they will be demonstrating you how the basically you can operate FPGA, how can you generate the pulses with the help of FPGA, and then you can further use it for the operation of certain converters. So I'm pretty hopeful that this particular hands-on training session is going to help you in many ways. Those who are working in the field of power electronics, they know the importance of development of prototype, because unless we develop a prototype, actually the community, the society, the peers does not accept our work. So in that way, I really feel that this hands-on training is going to be very, very helpful to you all. Mr. Pawan Kumar is a senior research scholar. He is working on the high frequency switch mode power supplies for bipolar microgrid applications. He's working on FPGA since last 2 to 3 years. He has a very good exposure on this how to operate, how to generate pulses with the FPGA. Simanta Samal is also a senior PhD student. He is also working on a new power converter that has to be operated in the grid tied mode as well as in the islanded mode. So they both have a fair amount of experience of prototype development, fair amount of experience of how to operate a converter with the help of field programmable gate arrays. So I'm very much hopeful that this session will be benefiting to you all. And with this, now I'll request Pawan and Siman to take over the session, and wish you all the very best.
Thank you, Professor Singh sir, for providing us the opportunity to conduct this hands-on session on FPGA. So welcome to the hands-on training on FPGA under the short-term course on data analytics and predictive control with predictive control driven IoT based smart grid infrastructure. I am Simant Kumar Samal, and I am here with my colleague Mr. Pawan Kumar to conduct this hands-on session on FPGA. Before discussing about FPGA, let's have a look at the outlines of this hands-on session. Basically, this entire session is divided into two parts. In the first part, we will discuss some basic about FPGA, which contains some architecture and applications of the FPGA. Then we will discuss about component descriptions, in which P-mode ports and P-mode pin assignments will be discussed. And in the second part, we will discuss some basic operations using Xilinx blocks, like how to generate sawtooth, triangular, and sinusoidal signals. So you can use these signals to design your control logic. Basically, when we are designing control logic, we have to take some carrier wave and some reference wave. So by generating this sawtooth or triangular or sinusoidal wave, we have to design our required reference or carrier waves. And finally, we have create some Vivado project, and we will demonstrate how it will operate in the hardware based FPGA boards. First of all, what is FPGA? FPGA stands for Field Programmable Gate Arrays. That means an algorithm can be implemented by using some gate arrays. Basically, it is an integrated circuit which is designed to reprogram some hardware descriptive language, and such languages are like Verilog or VHDL. There are some manufacturing companies who are manufactured the FPGA boards such as Xilinx, Altera and Microsoft. And we have here demonstrate the FPGA regarding FPGA by using our Xilinx based FPGA board. Basically, before FPGA, in earlier days, application-specific integrated circuits are used for implementation of control logic algorithms, and the control logic algorithms basically used for getting controlled switching pulses. But the main disadvantage in this application specific integrated circuit is it is a single use type integrated circuit. That means we are not used the same circuit for different algorithms, as the reprogrammable option is not there in the application specific integrated circuit, so one can use it only for some specific applications. But in case of FPGA board, it is used for different applications, as the reprogrammable option is there, so we will easily modify or change the algorithm to use it for different topologies. And the another advantage is, as the gate array density is more in case of FPGA, so we can use it for more complicated or complex algorithms. This is the FPGA architecture. Basically, FPGA architecture contains three types of modules. The first one is input-output blocks, means it will use to communicate the external worlds. That is, if we want to give some control gate pulse to our proposed circuit, then it is used, means the processed signal is passed through the input-output blocks. Similarly, if we use for closed loop manner, means if the circuit is operating in closed loop manner, it will take the sensed output voltage, sense output signals, and process it inside the logic block and passes it through the input output block. And the second module is switch matrix or interconnection wires. Basically, the switch matrix is used to communicate in between the logic blocks. Means if the algorithm is complex or lengthy, then we use 2 or 3 logic blocks, and in between these logic blocks, which operation will occur first, and then the signal process to which block, it will decided by this switch matrix. Means as per our operating direction, the processed signal is going through. And the third module is configurable logic blocks, that is CLB. It is nothing but the fundamental component of FPGA, because all the logical operations are done inside this CLB chip. Basically, this is the FPGA architecture, which contain the input output block, and this is the CLB, means configurable logic blocks, and this is the switch matrix. As we had already discussed that every circuit is operating in two modes, that is in open loop mode or closed loop mode. So the input output block is operate in open loop operate for open loop operations only to providing the control switching signals, and for closed loop operations the sensed signal first gone through this input output blocks ADC port. Means as the sensed output sensed signal is an analog signal, so it will convert first analog to digital domain. Then inside the CLB block, the signal is processed as per our requirement. Then it is passes through input output block to the switches of the circuit. As we have already discussed that the CLB block is the fundamental block. So we will discuss something more about CLB blocks. The CLB block contains digital logics, means as the logical operations are done here. So first digital logic, inputs, outputs, mocks, D flip-flop, and lookup table. First of all, in the lookup table, all the algorithm based logical data are stored here, and then one mocks is there, and this mocks, depending upon the selection line, the lookup table data will process through it. If we process the same data as it is through another mocks, then it will conduct the combinational logic operation. And if this data is processed through the D flip-flop, and the D flip-flop is operate with some clock frequencies, so it will behave as a sequential circuit. So the sequential data will process through the D flip-flop, and in the mocks, as per the selection lines, the sequential logic or combinational logic will process through, and we are getting the control switching pulses or switching signals through the outputs. If the selection line is 0, then the combinational logic is operate. If the selection line is 1, then the sequential operation is done. Then advantages of FPGA. As performance depend upon the response time and multitasking behavior, that is parallel processing of signals, and accuracy. So the FPGA is operate in good, the FPGA gives good performance as the switching pulse, as the switching frequency of FPGA is 100 megahertz. So the step size is around 10 nanosecond. So the accuracy and the speed of response is good enough in case of FPGA. And as we have already discussed that it is reprogrammable structure, so we can we can modify or change the algorithm in between anywhere of the logic, and also the cost of the board is less. These are the applications. As we have already discussed that the parallel processing operation is done by using FPGA board, so it is used for aerospace application. As in aerospace application, lots of activities are done simultaneously. So for aerospace, it is good enough to use FPGA board. And as the accuracy of FPGA is good, so it is used for medical devices. Similarly, it is used for automotive industries, security system, video and image processing, and wireless communications. This is the FPGA board.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I have one doubt in the application. Can we use this application for signal processing?
Mm, yes. In actually, the electronics people are used it for signal processing also.
Okay, sir.
So these are the FPGA board where lots of component are there. So basically, we are used this USB port. Actually, we have first develop our algorithm in Xilinx MATLAB platform. So we have to dump in the board by using some connectivity. Means after using this USB port, we will connect the developed algorithm to dump inside the board. And this is the power switch. Means we can switch on the power supply so that the board will be getting the power, and if we switch off it, then the board is off, means board is in off condition, so that the it is isolated from the external circuits. And these are the 4 register PMOD pins. This is A, B, C, and D, and this is the ADC register, means analog to digital register, and these are used. These 4 registers are used to getting the controlled signal from the board to our required, means to our switches. So just like in this board, there are 4 registers and some PMOD pins are here. So by using these PMOD pins, we'll getting some output signals and giving to it to our switches. This is all the descriptions about the components. This is the PMOD switch. Actually, there are 12 pins in each register, and in between these 12 pins, there are 8 pins for logic signals. Means we are developing some algorithm, and as per the algorithm, we are getting the control signals. That control signal we will take from these 8 pins, and it is and 2 ground pins are there, that is pin number 5 and 11, these 2 pins, and pin number 6 and 12 is for VCC, means 3.3 volt is provided using these pins. And another important thing is the VCC and ground pins can deliver up to 1 ampere of current. If the current is more than 1 ampere, it will damage the board. This is the PMOD pin assignment. As we are developing the algorithm by using Xilinx MATLAB platform, so when dump it in the FPGA board, you have to assign some pin for getting the controlled gate pulse and giving it to the switches. For that, we will assign some pin as per the datasheet pin naming. Means if we have used this JA1, so at the time of dumping, means at the time of in the time of when we are dumping the code in the board, we'll assign for JA1 C17, means we'll get the control signal from C17 pin. Similarly, as per the requirement, you will assign some naming to the pins and will get the control signals that will use for further in your proposed circuit. So now I would like to invite my colleague Mr. Pawan Kumar to continue this hands-on session. So over to you, Pawan.
Thank you, Saman, for the brief introduction about the architecture of the FPGA. Let's give me 2 minutes. Share my screen. So this screen is visible.
Yes, the screen is visible.
Okay, let's start. Before moving to the hands-on training, so let's I will give you some idea how we can use FPGA to control a converter. So in this slide, basically in this slide, this is a converter, boost converter, and the FPGA used to control the converter. So we sense an output voltage signal. Actually, we want to control output voltage with respect to this duty of this switch. So we are just.
Sir, it's not visible.
It's not visible.
Yes, sir.
Slide is visible. Let's check your setting. Actually,
for some of the student, it is visible. Means for me, it is visible.
Anyone else?
No, sir, it's not visible.
Visible,
Visible.
control pulse generation of for a converter using FPGA.
Okay. Yes. So let's start. So we want to control the output voltage with respect to duty of this switch. So we sense this output voltage and feed to the FPGA, and through the ADC port. Actually, ADC took this voltage signal, analog signal, and convert into the digital signal because FPGA work in the digital domain. So, and second thing, the voltage rating of ADC. The ADC pin is there. We will show you later on. The ADC pin is there. The ADC pin take input voltage within the range of 1 volt. So we scale down this voltage to feed to the FPGA. Then like this. So we sense a signal, scale down that signal up, and then feed that signal to the FPGA using this input. So again, we multiply with the same multiplier to get the original signal. So after that, we compare. This is actually this part is the. Let's give me 1 second. This part is the. This is used to control the output voltage of this converter. So what we are doing, after sensing the signal, we compare that signal with some reference value. So error signal will come, then we'll pass that error signal to the compensator. Actually, compensator is designed to control the output voltage of the converter. After compensator, a control pulse will get, a control signal will get. Then we compare that control signal with a carrier wave. The carrier wave is generated by the counter. We will discuss later on how to generate that carrier wave with the counter. After comparing with the carrier wave, we will get a control pulse. Then by using this output port, we get the control pulse in the external world. External world means this is your hardware and you can supply a pulse to the switch of your hardware. In this way, that output voltage is controlled. So it is just to give you idea how we can control output of anything of a converter, either it's voltage or current. So if you look this symbol is the system generator. So this constant block CMULT, this is called the IP. IP means this IP is like that. It will give you a constant value, but we can see only input or output pin. For the constant value, only output pin is there. But for CMULT, the input port is there, output port is there. So system generator is used to club this algorithm into single IP. After getting the single IP, we can see only input port and output port. So this system generator is used. Then we call that IP into FPGA using Vivado. We will discuss later on. So this system generator used to club these IPs into a single IP. Again, this Power GI, all of you know that this Power GI, if you use some MATLAB blocks, then you need to use this Power GI. So this is just to give some idea how we control the output. This is the compensator that in the last slide we told you that compensator. Some of you designed PI controller to control the output voltage, but we are going to we designed a compensator to control the output voltage. So we add poles and zero so that the phase margin and bandwidth of the in the closed loop operation will improve. And if you look all these blocks, all the data is flowing in the digital domain. So it's very important how to deal with the digital data. So there are some important points that I want to mention here. Please note down it. It will be useful when we design some algorithm. So the clock frequency of the FPGA is 100 megahertz. The clock frequency 100 mega means the step size, the minimum step size that we can measure using FPGA is 1 upon 100 into 10 to the power 6, means 10 to the power minus 8 second, or we can say 10 nanosecond. So minimum step size of FPGA is 10 nanoseconds. So what's the importance of this step size? Let's assume this is a sinusoidal signal. So if we convert this and a continuous signal into discrete signal, let's take 10 samples from this sinusoidal signal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. After getting this 10 sample, if you want to retrace the sinusoidal signal by joining these samples, we will not get the exact actual signal that we have earlier. So it's not look like a sinusoidal signal. So if we increase the samples number, if we take 50 samples, so it's look almost similar to the sinusoidal signal. So if we increase the sample to 100, so it's close to the sinusoidal. In FPGA, we can take thousands and thousands sample in this time period, 0.02 seconds. So the accuracy of the FPGA, means accuracy to sense a signal in FPGA is very high.
Sir, sorry to interrupt you. Sir, what is the meaning of sampling here?
If we convert a continuous signal into discrete domain, so we just take data at some interval of time. We cannot take a continuous. So just assume it is like this: 1, 2, 3, 5. You just take these data in discrete domain and process only these 10 values, and you assume that these 10 values will give you sinusoidal signal if you trace a line through these 10 values. So if you take only 10 samples and you assume that this 10 samples is sufficient to achieve sinusoidal signal later on, so it's not sufficient. If you trace these 10 samples through a line, it will not reproduce the same signal. The samples means taking values at some interval of time. That means discrete in nature.
So this sampling and the step size has some relation here or no?
Yes. I'm telling you, in FPGA, the step size is 10 nanosecond. If you take sample at every 10 nanosecond of time, you can sample this sinusoidal signal means you can take thousands samples from this sinusoidal signal. If you retrace that samples again, you will get exact sinusoidal signal later on. So the accuracy means you are passing same sinusoidal signal in discrete domain through the FPGA.
Okay, sir. Fine.
So this is the another slide. It is also very important in our hands-on training. We are going to tell you how the counter is used to generate the sawtooth wave, triangular wave, and sinusoidal signal. So the clock frequency is 100 megahertz. You want to generate a sawtooth wave, okay? And we want that the frequency of the sawtooth wave is 50 kilohertz. So you want to generate 50 kilohertz of sawtooth signal. So what we do, we count is equal to the clock frequency upon signal frequency. It will give you count of 2000. In the counter, there is a parameter count. We need to set this value. If you set this value 2000, so and at the step of each sample is 1 volt. So 0, 1, 2, 3 up to 2000. So 0 to 2000 means 0 to 1999, because we start counting from 0 to 1999. So this is 1 volt of magnitude in each step. So the voltage will reach up to 1999 volt. But if you look the time period, so 1 to n, yani 1999, this step size is TS, means 10 nanosecond in case of FPGA. And so total time from here to here for this triangular plus NTS, 1 to n, NTS plus this TS, 0 level, n plus 1 TS. So n is 1999, so it will become 2000 into TS. So total time is for this sawtooth is 2000 into step time. Either you can write 10 nanosecond or 1 e to power minus 8. So 2000 into 1 e to power minus 8 is equal to 2 into 10 to power minus 5. Means this time is 2 into 10 to power minus 5. If we convert into the frequency, it will give to 50 kilohertz. Means to generate a triangular signal of 50 kilohertz, you need to set the count value 2000. So how we can calculate this? Clock frequency upon the frequency of the signal you need to generate. If you need to generate 100 kilohertz, to divide by 100 kilohertz, it will come, I think, 1000. So if you count 0 to 999, then you will get a triangular wave, a sawtooth wave of 100 kilohertz. So, and the second thing, if we work in digital
Hello,
domain,
sir.
so
Hello, sir. Can you once again explain that T is equal to 2000 to 10 power minus 8? From where you have taken this one, sir?
2000
into 10 power minus 8. How this time period has been?
Actually, in the last slide, I discussed that the clock frequency is 100 megahertz. If we reverse it frequency, then we will get the time period of a step. 10
So
to minus 8. We can express it in nanosecond, 10 nanosecond also.
This time period is the time period of FPGA.
Means the FPGA means we can sample, we can take sample at the interval of 10 nanosecond.
Okay.
Okay, we move further.
Yes, sir.
So in this way we can fix the frequency of the signal also. Then the number of bits required to count this 2000 value. It's very important because when we work in digital domain, so in digital domain, if we count something, we need to decide number of bits required to count that value. So to count this up to 2000 value, this formula 2 to the power n greater than equal to 2000, if it will come 11, means at least 11 bit is required to count up to 2000 value. So in that counter block, you need to set the number of bits which is required to count. If you set this value 2000, at least you need means 11 bit is required to count up to this value. When we start with the hands-on, you will understand all these parameters. So I just introduce all these parameters here so that you can write down or you can note down these things. So let's move to the hands-on training. No, okay. So guideline is already there, how to install the Vivado. So is this screen is visible to all of you?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So after installing the Vivado, you will get this system generator on your desktop. This and this Vivado 2008. Actually, I installed Vivado 2018.1 version. So that's why it's 2018.1. You will get system generator here. You know that the purpose of system generator to club the type. So when you install this Vivado, first open this system generator as an administrator mode. Then you will get the option to integrate your Vivado with your FPGA. Actually, I already integrate with the FPGAs. We just double click it to open MATLAB. To open the MATLAB, you use this system generator. Otherwise, if you design some algorithm using Xilinx, it will show you error. This is the not right environment. So MATLAB is open after double clicking this system generator. Okay, so just give it a path. So let's.
Sir, can you please tell how to link Xilinx to MATLAB?
Told you now. At the first time, right click it and open it as a run as a administrator. Then you will get the option that which MATLAB, whatever the MATLAB you have in your PC, it will show in the list. You select that and OK that. It automatically integrated with the MATLAB.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So first open MATLAB and go to the Simulink. So take a new file. Okay, this is the new file. First go to the setting of this file. And let's set the time 0.08. Make it fixed step and use some solver like OD5. We use some solver. Then fixed step size. Let's select it 1 e to the power minus 8. This step size of 10 nanosecond we are using. So go to the library. When you go to the library, in drop down you will see that there is a Xilinx block set. It will come after installation of Vivado. Open it. So there is number of folders which have different IPs. So let's come to the basic element. So first add this system generator, because what we are doing, we are designing our algorithm with using some number of IPs. Then after that we club those IP into single IP. So that's why we need a system generator. So add to the entitled this file. So first open it by double clicking this symbol. So if you, this menu will open in front of you. So actually first set the part. Part means actually in our lab we have RTX 7 board, and this part is XC7A100T -1 CSD324. If you purchase FPGA, this will be known to you. So first select the part. We have RTX board for the FPGA, so we select this part. After selecting this part, we will give some directory where to save. Means if when we generate a single IP, where to save. So it's an advice from my side. Make 3 folders, one for the MATLAB file, one for the IP file, and one for the project. So MATLAB file, where you save your MATLAB file. In IP, so different IP, let's we save this MATLAB file with a name. So let's give it a name STC short term course boost STC P. Save it. So in this folder, make a new folder STCB. Actually, I want to save the IP into this folder. So make a folder IP. There we already make many programs, so these IP are there. So there is no confusion. So make another folder STB. So I can save IP in this folder. So let's come again on this MATLAB file. So the target directory, where to save that IP. Browse. In the desktop we have that IP. So this STB. So click it. The path is given. Now go to the second option, clocking. We know that the clock frequency of the FPGA 10 nanosecond. By default it is written here. So Simulink time period. So here also set the time period 1 e to the power -8 means 10 nanosecond. Apply. Okay. Okay, don't click generate because you did not make anything here till now. After designing some algorithm, we click this option generate. Then the IP will generate there. So let's start with the counter. The counter is very important. So in the basic element, Xilinx block set basic element, we have counter. Add this counter to STCB. One more thing, that if we use MATLAB blocks, so we need a power GUI also. Make it discrete. Okay, let's take a scope also. connect it. Let's open the counter by double clicking the symbol. Let's take an example. I told you how to set this count value. First, it's a free running, the count limited. First, click this option, count limited. Up to what value you want to count? Let's assume we want to generate a sawtooth signal with 100 kilohertz of frequency. So 100 megahertz and upon 100 kilohertz, it will give you 1000. So let's set the count value up to 999. 999 means the output signal will be of 100 kilohertz. Okay. So to count up to 999, you need to set the, let's come to here. The initial value step of 1 volt means the step, each step that we already discussed of 1 volt. The step of 1 volt is there, and signed value, number of bits required to count up to 999. Just go to the formula 2 to the power n must be greater than equal to 999. So we are not going to consider, we just put some value. 2 to power 12 may be greater than 999. So explicit time period, that is 1 e to the power minus 8 step time of the FPC. No need to change anything here. So apply and okay. So just run this. So when this window will come, so there is no error and it is running. So just close it, open it. So stop it. We can see in this range. So if you look here, a triangular pulse come from the counter. And if you look it very closely, so number of sample is very high. And after each 10 nanosecond, you are getting another sample. So the accuracy of the signal is very high. You will get exact triangular wave. Okay. If there is any doubt, you can ask. Otherwise, I move further. Okay. We want to generate. This is the sawtooth signal. We want to generate triangular signal. So how to generate a triangular signal? So take 2 counter. Add some constant value. Make this counter free running. After completing this, I will tell you what's the logic is behind this. Take a relational block. So we know that this counter is count up to 999. So we are comparing it with 499, means 50% of it. Because in triangular, what happened? The signal go up in up direction for the 50%, for down direction for 50%. So 499. So 49 to read this 499 we decide to number of bits. Total number of bits is 16. Binary points is 14. Binary points is used to means to read the decimal point. So 14 points is decimal point. So just reduce it because this is the integer value. So reduce it up to 2. And the sample period we know 1 e to the power minus 8 of the FPGA. So set it here. Apply. Okay. So 499 is there. Okay. And make it up down counter. Means first we going to count up in up direction, then in down direction, then a triangular wave will generate it. So make it up down direction. So another input will come here in the counter 2. So when 1 is there, it will count into up direction. When 0 is there, it will start counting down direction. So to make it start from 0. So if you make this, if this value is less than 499, okay, it will start from 0. This value is less than equal to 499, means up to 499, this value, this condition is right, we'll get 1 as a output. So I think here number of bits were high. Let's take another scope. So up to 499, it will count in up direction. After 499 to 999, it will count down direction. So a triangular signal will come. Let's save it and run it. So it's working. So close it. Open this. Let's stop it. So 5, 1 is 8. So I think it's required more bit to count up to this. That's why this error is coming. Not error exactly at one point. Okay, now it's good. So actually what is happening, that one delay is there. So at one point it is going to high. So I reduce that delay. We can provide delay using blocks also, by using registers also. So if you look here, if we, up to 499, we give this one signal here, it start counting into up direction. So if you look here, the voltage of the signal, it is 499. 500 means 0 to 499, the voltage is 500 voltage. So up to 499, it start counting up. We make it free counting up. After 499, it gets 0 signal, it start counting down. That's why we get the triangular signal at the output. After giving some shifting, you can get a triangular wave according to your requirement. Now let's how to create a sinusoidal signal.
Sir,
Again, we need a counter.
Sir, what is the difference between the inbuilt Simulink block of sawtooth generator and triangular wave generator and this signal? What is the difference between them? Can't we use the inbuilt block of triangular wave generator and sawtooth generator from Simulink?
That is continuous in nature, na? Here you are getting triangular signal in discrete nature. In FPGA, all things are in discrete nature. There is nothing as like a continuous signal. Are you clear?
Okay, sir.
So let's, even though we now we are going to generate sinusoidal signal, it's also in discrete in nature. You know that if you feed sinusoidal signal to some means some hardware, you need to sample it. You need the sampling is very important. If you are not able to sample the signal at very high rate, the accuracy is not good in that case. In FPGA, you can sample at in very small interval of time. So that's the accuracy of the signal is very good. Even though you know that ADC of this FPGA is 1 volt, if the accuracy is not good, whatever the signal you are feeding to the FPGA, you will not get the exact output from it. So accuracy is always matter. Again, we are using the same counter to generate the sinusoidal signal. We need another block from the control logic, that is called ROM. So in sinusoidal, we know, we want a sinusoidal signal of 50 hertz, means the time period of the signal is 0.02 seconds. So first go to the counter and let's, in 50 hertz of signal, it means 0.02 second, we want high number of samples. Let's take 20,000 samples. If we take 20,000 samples, so we need to change this value 1 e to the power minus 6. That means now you are going to take sample after 1 into e to the power minus 6. If you multiply these two parameters, 20,000 into 1 e to the power minus 6, it will give you the total time. Means if you multiply these two value, you will get 0.02 second of time period. So it's a 50 hertz signal. So I think 50, this 15 is something. Let's check. If not something, we will increase it. Go to the ROM below. So you are counting up to 20,000. So set this draft up to 20,000. Sine 2 into pi into, you count 0 to 15. Now you count 0 to 149 and the depth is 20,000. Now you are counting up to 20,000. I think all things are okay. Latency, make latency 0. So don't give any delay. Okay, it's required a latency. And the output is 16 and 14. So okay, it's okay. Check later on. Save it and run it. So okay, look it. Say perfect sinusoidal signal. If you zoom it, you can find that the sample is very high. You are getting thousands of samples to create a sinusoidal signal. So the accuracy is very high in digital domain. So let's come to our hands-on training. So these are different signals. So we want to generate a control pulse to control our converter. So let's make it. Let's comment out it. We are going to generate a pulse signal for our converter. So we count with this counter up to 999. So voltage level is up to 1000 volt or 999 volt. So we use some multiplier to scale down this voltage. So it will come into the, go to the math library and take some CMULT, add to the STCB. So you know that up to, if you count up to 999, the output voltage is 999 volt. So divide it with 1 upon 999 and set these bits and bytes. All these 1 upon 999 are in decimal. 1 upon 999 is in decimal, so it's required more number of bits. So select it. Let's run it again. Okay, it will come in the range of 1 voltage. Okay, so let's compare it with some constant value so that we will get a pulse to control our converter, to give our converter. So let's take again a constant value from the math library. You can get the constant value. Okay, basic element, the constant value is there. Add this, add a relational element also. So let's make a logic. This is your carrier wave. This is the you can compare with some constant value to get the pulse output. So make it A greater than equal to B. You will get pulse at the output. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, whatever we are doing with this this software,
Xilinx block.
we can't. Yeah, we can't do with the MATLAB. Like digital pulses are also there, na, in MATLAB. Simulink.
How you can control your hardware with MATLAB?
Okay.
I will
So
show you
because
everything. I will show you everything. I will generate a pulse in real time, and then we'll give to the some converter, and you will get
okay,
that how the converter is means input output vary with this pulse. Cannot make a closed loop operation here, because in closed loop you need means how to design that compensator. Many things are there. It's not a 1.5 hour work. Okay, but we can tell you
okay,
how we can generate a pulse for a converter. Then you can design our compensator or PI logic to control the converter. So you can pass these signals with that compensator, and then you can control your converter. So in real time, in for power electronics student, we always have some hardware setup, and we need to control that hardware setup. MATLAB is a Simulink thing. Na? You cannot make anything in real from MATLAB.
okay, sir.
Okay. So let's set this value 0.4. Okay, this is in decimal, so we can set number of bits and bytes to measure this value. Sample constant 1 e to the power minus 8. So if you zoom it, it's 0.4000. Okay, if you increase the number of bits, it will go to the accurate value. So let's run it once. If you see that pulse is coming outside, if we compare 0.4 value to the carrier wave, so the duty is almost 40%. Okay, because we make the carrier up in the level of 1 voltage. So let's for the same pin, we take this control pulse with the from the pins of the FPGA. So let's, if you want to change that now the duty is 0.4. Let's you want to change the duty 0.5 and get the pulse from the same pin. So we make another arrangement, take another constant value, and we compare it with 0.5. Okay, so this 0.5 is there. So add one mux, because using mux you can select any of value from these two. So let's add one mux here. Mux we can get from control logic. That mux is here, so just add mux to that log. So mux is there. We can select from these value using mux. So the select line is there. If 0 is there, then 0.4 pass from mux to this point as a reference value to compare with the carrier signal. If we set 1 here, then 0.5 is passed through mux to control to point A, so that we can compare with the triangular or with carrier wave to get the output pulse. So we need to define input and output here. So add input and output port. Basic element is there. Add input port and output port. So output port is here. Okay. And input port is here. So what input you want to give? So the one way is, like my colleague discussed with you. I will share that slide again with you. Either we feed signal from the external world, means through the ADC, or you can supply input signal from this sliding switch also. This sliding switch work in the way that if the sliding switch is in the lower way, means the 0 is going, if it's up, means 0 1. A digital input is given using this sliding. We can give the input with this sliding switch also in the form of 0 and 1. So So we set this value, fixed point, signed and signed, you know all these things. Signed value used for if there is a negative sign in the signal, so sign value can be used for that, but we are using 0 and 1, it's not a sign signal, so we can use number of bit 1. Okay, 0 and 1 will be count with the 0 bit, so there no need of binary bit, and the sample period of the FPGA is 1 e to the power minus 8. Okay, so if we run this again, stop it and see now what is happening. So you are getting the control pulse, but it is compared with 0.4 because by default 0 is there. If we supply 1 here, then 0.5 go to the outside. So let's we do in the real world how to change this value 0 and 1 using FPGA. So let's save it. First, what I told you earlier, that this is the different IPs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks are used. By using this system generator, these IPs are combined in a single IP, but only the port is there, input port and output port. So we supply signal to the input port, we will get output from the output port. So we use this system generator. So open it, this system generator. And I already told you, you have to give the path. So we have a folder IP on my desktop, and in the IP, we have a folder STCB. So I'm giving that path, and now generate IP. Okay, after generation that IP will show you later. We call that IP in FPGA using Vivado project. We'll discuss just now. So generation completed. So IP is generated and saved into that folder. Okay, now we go to the Vivado project. Now, till now the simulation things are going on. Now we call that IP into our project and then dump that IP into our FPGA board to control a converter. So how we can do this? So this is a Vivado 2018. Double click it, so Vivado will open like this. So this page will come in front of you. So create a new project. In Vivado, what we are going to do, we call that IP and assign some pins value and then dump that project, then generate some bit stream and dump into the FPGA so that we can control our converter. So give it a name, STCB. Actually, one folder is also created on the desktop. If you look desktop project X, in project X, this folder will automatically created STCB, and the bit stream is generated in this product. Go to the next, then there is a RTL project, click it and click this do not specify source at this time. Move further, next. Now here we select about our board. So it's our board is general purpose board and the family is RTX 7. Package is CSG324, already discussed with you, and the speed is -1. If we make all this setting, we will get our board here XC7A100T CSG324 -1. So select our board, next, finish. So this window will come in front of you. So from there, from left hand side, this is the process you have to follow. First call your IP, then create your block design, then some pin assignments. After that, you can generate your bit stream. So first call your IP, click here. So this is the Vivado repository here. So right click it and add repository. when you are going to add your IP. So in desktop, we have a folder of IP. In that folder, we have this folder in which we make a single IP. We save our single IP. So call it from here. So once your IP is attached here, go to click create block design. So design one, okay, give same name. Here you see this plus sign. From here you can add your IP. Click here and your IP is STCB. STCB you created. So click it, double click it. So this is the IP, that algorithm you designed there. So the IP is generated for those algorithm. You have just output port, input port, or one extra port clock. Because in FPGA, all the IPs works in synchronized way with this clock. The clock is always there. The clock input is always there. So first define these all pins. Right click all the pins and create ports. This port is the output ports. Okay. This port is created. This is the input port, 1-bit input port. So create this input port also. This is the input port. Now this is the clock. Right click, create this port also. This is also input port of 100 megahertz of click frequency. So all ports are defined. After that, go to the source. In the source, you show the design source is there. In the design source, design _1.bd is there. The right click is and click create SDL wrapper. Okay, once the SDL wrapper is created, again click it and this design board. So right click it, generate outputs product. This is the sequence you have to follow so that you can call your IP and then you can dump your IP into your FPGA board to control your converter. After this, you need to assign this port, this gateway out, gateway in, from where you are getting input signal, from which pin you will get the output signal. So to decide this, go to open elaborated design, click it. Okay.
Sir, all
This
these
will take
things
some
we are
time.
doing. All these things we are doing with the board connected. The board is connected
No,
to the
no,
system.
no. Board is not required till now. After the generation of bit stream, when you dump into the board, then you require that board. Till now, you don't need any board.
Okay, sir. Okay.
But once you learn all these things, you can start working with FPGA and you can control your converter accordingly. And I tell you that the performance of the FPGA is very good, because if you see the accuracy, if you see the parallel processing, fast operation, FPGA is very good in that case. If you go 200 kilohertz.
Sir, we have used previously used a microcontroller, TI microcontroller, TMS. Sir, is it also of the FPGA category or it is some other category?
TMS actually both have the digital work in digital domain. If you go to the frequency limitation, so many things you cannot miscontrol with that TIH. If you go to the sampling points, you will see the difference between them.
Okay, sir. Okay.
And this FPGA use hardware descriptive language actually. The VHDL language is used because FPGA is made by the logic gates. You are designing algorithm in logic gates. Okay, like if you use MATLAB, you use some block and you get some output. You don't know what is going inside the output. Inside that block, you just got output. But when you go to the real application, then many limitation is there. You cannot control many things with all those things. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
So where we need to see this RTL logic of this block, that this is the IP that you generated, this is the input output, and that thus are already discussed. There are switch matrix. The switch matrix connected between this and this. The with this switch matrix, the signal is passed from here to here. Okay, so there is a input out. Actually, 3 input output ports is there. So click it. So first thing that we need to set the voltage level. As we know that if we give the pulse to our switch, at least we require 3.3 volt, 3.3 volt from the digital board, either it's FPGA or your TI means DSP board. After that, we will use FOD to means for the isolation purpose, or as well as to increase the voltage level and energy level, so that the switch will control. So to set this voltage, now the voltage is 1.8 volt. Click it. There is an option LVCM 33. If you click it, that voltage will come to 3.3. Now the output pulse will come of 3.3 volt. Similarly, you can set all 3 pins in the level of 3.3 volt. Okay. Now you define this. You have 3 pins: clock in, gateway in, and gateway out. So for clock in, the pin is fixed. It's always fixed for FPGA. It's E3. You can note down it. E3 is always fixed. But for gateway out, you need to assign those pins. For that, we refer that slide. The slide is there. So, sir told you that there is 4 register A, B, C, D. We want to use this register A. So A1 pin is there. A1, A2, A3, A4, then A5, A6, A7, A8. Then there is a ground pin. There is a voltage pin. So we are using JA1. So for using JA1, we need to assign some pin assignment. JA1 corresponds to C17. If we assign C17 to the output pin, so we will get pulse from JA1. JA1. Okay. So we assign here Vivado project. So we assign here J output pin C17. If we write here C17, that means we will get output from JA1. Gateway in. So gateway in. So again, go to the slide. In gateway in, we want to give 0, 1 input from this switch. So just zoom it. The address is written here J15. If we give J15 as an input, so we can give 0 and 1 input from this switch. So give it J15. That means if the switch is in the lower position, the 0 will come. 0 will come means 0.4 is going to compare with the triangular pulse. If you put switch at the 1 position, then 0.5. If you up position, then 0.5 is going to compare with the triangular pulse. So after setting all this pin.
Excuse me, sir.
Okay.
So can you please repeat after we have done the RTL analysis and we have selected the 3 input output pins? After that, you can please repeat.
3. We assign there is these output pins and input pin. We assign some address to this. So what is the address? So for output pin, we assign that I want output from JA1. JA1 means from A register A1 pin. From this A1 pin, we want output pulse. So for that, we assign C17. Be naming that output pin as a C17. We assign output pin as C17. So C17, so that we will get control pulse from JA1. Okay. For giving input signal, I'm going to use this slider switch. How we can use this slider switch? If you zoom it, the slider switch have address J15. That means if we assign this input pin as a J15, I can give input 0 and 1 with the slider switch, this first slider switch. Okay. After that, Control R and Control S. Save this pin configuration. Control R and Control S. So gives. So save this. Now almost everything is covered. Now you click generate bit stream. When you generate bit stream, so a bit stream is generated corresponding to this algorithm, and you can dump this bit stream into the FPGA board. So just click it and okay, launch it. I will show you. It takes 2-3 minutes. I think this circuit is visible to all of you.
Click on that. Click on that tile.
After clicking this video, this circuit, you can zoom this circuit. So, running synthesis design, it's in process. So it takes 2 and 3 minutes to generate the bit stream. So how we can dump this bit stream into the board, I will show you.
Sir, what is the cost of the board?
What is the
Cost of this board?
I think the board that we have, I think is 25,000, around 25,000, and it's programmable, so you can use as many times as you want to use. And it's depend upon the configuration of computer also, how much time it will take, and because the data is flowing in the discrete domain, so we are getting more number of data. The data overflow is there, so we need a good configuration of the computer. And so all the data is passing through the RAM. So wait for 1 and 2 more minutes. So I will show you how converter can operate with this pulse. The circuit is visible to all of you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is visible. Okay. After generation of bit stream, this window is pop up. Then open implemented design view reports, open hardware manager. So we go to the open hardware manager and okay. Okay. So this open target. So first means switch on that your FPGA board. I think in the video you can see that there is a red light. I don't know it's visible to you or not, because in mine it's visible to all of you. Yes. So open it. Auto connect. Auto connect means you want to connect your FPGA board with your computer. So auto connect it. Now program device. Program device means what the algorithm you write. You generated bit stream corresponding to algorithm. Now you are feeding, you are dumping that bit stream into your FPGA board. From this program device, click it and program. Now you can see that the pulse is coming on the screen.
No, not coming.
Not coming in DSO.
It is
Sir,
not
coming. So
It
we
is
can
not.
see.
Yes,
We can
see the hardware structure. Click on the hardware, you will see it. Is it visible to all of you?
In my
Yes,
screen,
sir,
it
yes,
is
sir,
not
visible.
visible. Maybe some other person visible, but in my screen, it is not visible.
Okay. Actually, if you look at the circuit is visible or not to you?
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
No, sir. No, sir.
Those who have whom not visible, na, just come out from focus mode. And see then
Click the
below.
circuit, then it will come into in the full screen. It will come in your full screen if you click the circuit. This circuit is visible. If you click it, it will open in your full.
Even circuit is also not visible. No, this is some problem related to the MS Team. So many times it is happening with MS Team. Yes.
Okay, let's move further. Actually, many of the people are able to see this screen. So let's.
Now it is visible. Now it is visible, but very small. Yes, very small size in corner. Image is
just
coming.
click that picture. Just click that picture, na.
I'm clicking.
If you click that, na, then it will be full screen.
It will come into full screen.
Not coming. Even after clicking it, it is not showing.
Okay, it may be that your system is responding slow, so it will come after some time.
Yes, maybe MS Team. This problem is with MS Team only. Yes.
Okay. This pulse actually, if you look at the circuit, so in the circuit we have a boost converter. Okay. So in the boost converter, 2 pins are connected at input at output port, and 1 pin is connected to the gate pulse, which is coming after FOD. Okay. So the voltage level of that signal is 15 volt. That 15 volt signal is given to the switch of the FOD to control the FOD. Okay. Let's first see the operation, then we will show you all the parameter of the circuit. Just make it. Now we are switching on the source and increasing the voltage. If you look the voltage, the input voltage is increasing. Side by side, the output voltage is also increasing. Okay. So if you look there, input voltage is 10 volt and output voltage is 22 volt. So the voltage is boosted, means the boost converter is used. That's why the voltage is boosted. And we are comparing it with 0.4, means the duty is 0.4. We can change the duty. Look, just reduce the voltage. Now look at the pulse. Now, initially we are giving 0, so the pulse of 0.4 duty is there. Now, if you change it, if you look at pulse, the size of the pulse is changed. Now it's reduced. Now it's increasing. Means now the duty is 0.5. So if you increase the voltage, what is the input output voltage?
10.
Input 10, output?
Output maximum 24, 26.
26 volt is there. If you increase the duty, the voltage is also increasing in the boost mode. Actually, in this way, we can control our boost converter. So, we'll show you something. Okay, voltage reduce. Voltage reduce. इसको हटा दो. Actually, it's not. So this is the boost converter designed for you. The input pins are connected here. I will show you. Let's give me 2 seconds. This laser light is visible. So this is the input supply. So we are supplying input from this port, and the control pulse is coming from FPGA from this point. From this point, FPGA control pulse is coming out, and this pulse is fed to the FOD. When you run some converter, FOD is very important. It's provide isolation between power converter and the control board. Otherwise, this control board will get power from the power converter, and it can be burned. So this FOD will provide isolation plus the input that that output voltage 3.3 volt. This will also increase the voltage up to 15 volt. This 15 volt is given to this MOSFET switch, and it is operating at 100 kilohertz because we generated 100 kilohertz of control pulse. And this is the inductor, and this is the capacitor. This is the diode. This is output of that boost converter. So pulse is there, 0.4 and 0.5 input voltage, output voltage. This converter is designed for you so that you can see that how the boost converter the control pulse is given to boost converter, and will get output voltage. We can control the output voltage. So to control the output voltage, it is working in open loop. But in closed loop, what you can do, you can sense the output signal of the your converter and feed to the ADC, feed through the ADC pin to the FPGA board. Then you design your control algorithm. Then this signal is passed to the control algorithm after comparing with some reference, and again feed to the switch. Then your converter will operate in closed loop operation. So you can control your FPGA, you can control your converter using FPGA in digital domain. Means your hardware is in means outside world, and your controller in digital domain. You are designing a digital controller. So in this way you can control your boost converter. Now I think from my side it is almost completed. If you have any doubt, you can ask. Or you want to see anything else from the hardware, or you want to ask anything else?
What should we do? What changes are required if there are more number of switches, like just 19 switches, or we require 19 pulses. So how can we use this board?
I think in this configuration, my colleague told you that we have 4 registers, and all registers have 8 pins. 8 means if for the 4 registers you have means 32 pins as output pin. You can take 32 signal at a time from this board. Actually, he already discussed that a multiprocessing operation is possible with FPGA. That's why it's used in aeroplane application, because there is multitasking things are there. So FPGA is used there.
Okay, sir.
Any more questions from the participants? Okay, then. Thank you very much, Pavan and Simanta, for giving a very lucid presentation. Although this is an online course, but still, Pavan and Simanta have tried their best to make it a very interactive one. Both Pavan and Simanta are at the last phase of their PhD, but still they have accommodated time from their busy schedule for this hands-on training. I hope that the participants will be benefited by their kind interactions with Pavan and Simanta. I would also like to thank all the participants for their patient hearing. Wishing you all the best. Thank you.